We need to have a talk. And this time, it's not about me and your mother.
It's time. I'll remove your head myself!
Alright, yep, the topic of today's video is going to be POE 2. I've got some notes here, but I'm mostly freeball on this, so let's see how it goes. As a disclaimer, I went to LA to play the POE 2 beta. I've not played the updated version that some content creators have gotten access to. Personally, I feel like content creators spam pre-release content is kind of weird. I didn't like how in D4, content creators had like full guides in the entire game, and they already played through all the raids and stuff before the game even came out. I don't like that kind of stuff. Personally, I don't mind it that some content creators have content though, as I feel like it's important for, you know, a small department outside of Q&A to do things. Getting into stuff that I liked about POE 2, I really liked the gameplay and feeling. It felt pretty modern, which is like kind of weird to say, because playing POE 1 does not feel like a 2024 game. It kind of feels like, in a lot of cases, that I'm just playing a game from like 2010. Which, you know, shout out to anybody that plays Brood War or any like, you know, WoW Classic or anything like that. You guys already know that playing an old game is perfectly fine, but sometimes the engine definitely has some issues. I can understand why they made a second game. I'm not the happiest about it personally, but playing on a new engine definitely felt a lot better. A lot of the spell effects are way prettier. I have a feeling that when we get to maps and we start playing some like Giga Blaster builds, that we're gonna have some pretty crazy like just effects on screen, and it's going to be really satisfying to play overall. I also kind of like the new gem system. I felt like not having to mess around with your sockets 24/7 was a really nice system. Part of the issue that a lot of people have is understanding how it works, and I feel like they do a better job explaining it. It's still pretty confusing for anybody that's never played any Path of Exile before though, so hopefully they fix up the tutorial. If you're watching this, GGG, please make something to help the new players. I don't want to, you know, make a new player guide. Maybe that's something I'll work on if people want that. But talking about some of the stuff that I didn't like a lot of frustrating situations, and it felt like there were a handful of them. So there are certain areas where dodge roll doesn't really help you that much, and you're just kind of like dodge rolling over a single mob into another mob. It almost felt like a lot of zones were like, if you were to take the mud flats from POE 1, and just every zone is like that. This is a kind of big downside for me. I don't think we're gonna see as much crazy speed running through the entire zone and not killing anything, because, you know, a zone isn't 3 levels above us. But what you will see is a lot more gearing and taking our time, which for some people will definitely be a big turnoff. In my opinion, it's definitely worth playing before you actually get into it. I'll talk about like my personal story with it a bit later, but just to kind of TLDR it, I went into it kind of hating it. I really disliked the first 30 minutes, and after that, I really didn't want to stop playing. I got to the point where we got to the end of the playtest. I think it was a few hours, 3-4 hours, something like that. And I just kind of wanted to keep playing. I just wanted to keep seeing like what would happen. And as far as complicated issues are concerned, this one might have been fixed since then, but the itemization was really weird. So items feel very important. In the first run that I did, I played through as a ranger, and I was pretty weak, and I was kind of going through it, and I couldn't afford a bow that was really well rolled in the town, like a really well rolled rare bow. But I could go to the equivalent of Faustus, the gamble guy, and I was able to gamble a bow, and the bow rolled so well that the next 30 minutes that I played through was just insane. I was popping off, it felt amazing, and I don't think you can have, you know, an item feel that good if the game isn't, one, a little bit difficult. You know, if you have like a mobile game level of difficulty, you kind of run into a situation where like the items are meaningless. It doesn't really matter. You can kind of walk through naked and still kind of do things pretty well, but you know, you get 15% MS boots like I did towards the end of one of my runs, and then all of a sudden you can dodge out of things that you weren't able to dodge out of before and play a lot better. That feels really good. Obviously, it does lead to some frustrating moments, though, where you don't get the movement speed boots, you don't get the good weapon, you know, your build just kind of sucks because you messed up like I did, and you know, it is what it is. I'm sure a lot of these issues will kind of go away as we get better at the boss fights and more accustomed to the gameplay, personally. Apparently, they kind of touched up on itemization a bit. I don't really know what's going on there. Hopefully, that gets a bit better, just because of how frustrating it was in the second run that I did. Talking about other stuff, I guess I could just get into the story that I have. In my playthrough of POE 2, I was playing through as a ranger. I got pretty far into Act 1, and there was a boss where it calls a giant sword down from the sky, and I died at the same frame that that sword, like I killed the boss at the same frame that that sword fell down and hit me, and the boss bugged out. And I raised my hand, I said, yo, Octavian, am I missing something here? I killed the boss. And he said, oh, is it not clear to the players where they're supposed to go? And I said, no, it doesn't show me. And he's like, oh, you go up those stairs. Yeah, there were no stairs to go up. My game state was just kind of broken. And they were like, well, maybe we can like teleport you through, and that didn't really work out. They were like, maybe you can like fight the boss again, and that didn't really work out. So I had to completely restart. I didn't get to use like my stash or anything because of the way that the playtest was set up. It was kind of just assumed that you play one character. Jonathan was like, yeah, sorry about what happened. Hopefully this makes you feel a little bit better, but you are technically the first, you know, the furthest than anybody else, which makes sense. And I said, actually, that kind of makes me feel worse. I've been anticipating POE 2 for the last, I don't know, 5 years. Realistically, I kind of expected it to come out like a couple years ago. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of on the copium train. I expected it to come out like a while ago. Ended up coming out for beta, will be this December. And playing the playtest made me realize that the game is just, it was just not ready. It was just not completely finished. I hope they iron out a lot of the bugs. I hope they fix the bug with the sword boss. So let's pray for that. I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about what happened, but you know, I'm putting it in the video, so it is what it is. I think it's funny. Later on after I rerolled, I was pretty mad that I had to reset the first 20 minutes or so. Kind of feel like the mud flats, like I said earlier, but you get over it. You equip a chest piece, you be a man and play better. Personally, I felt like it was really fun by the end of it. The witch build that I ended up making was like a lightning spark wizard. And I accidentally took Lightning Warp because I looked at Lightning Warp and I said, oh, a mobility skill. I would love a mobility skill. It turns out that Lightning Warp is not a massive mobility skill. It is instead a cull ability, which the tooltip reads, I just am American, so I decided that that wasn't really my forte. So I kind of clicked it assuming that I'd be able to blink around the map, and it turned into a cull ability. And I said, this kind of sucks. Why would I want a cull? And then I started one-shotting giant packs of monsters as long as I was able to cull one mob. And it owned. It was sick. I didn't want to stop playing. My single target kind of sucked, so the end of the boss at Act 1 kind of sucked. I had a lot of issues with this boss, because my build was pretty AoE based. It was pretty much built around Lightning Warp. There were ads, but everything kind of chunked me. Everything kind of owned. Everything did 1 billion damage, it felt like. Supposedly the damage and the difficulty has been kind of tuned down since then, but if we get this level of difficulty, I don't know if normal people will be able to enjoy the experience, especially newer players. As far as other things are concerned, I do remember I sat next to Karn and Havoc, and we were kind of racing on my first character, on my ranger, and the guy to the left of me was like a journalist, a video game journalist of some kind. And I remember he was on the second boss in the campaign, some iron dude in some giant field. And I was, you know, progressing through most of the way through Act 1, approaching the sword boss or whatever. And, you know, Karn and Havoc were pretty neck and neck with me. They were a little bit behind, maybe 1-2 zones behind. And I looked over like half an hour later, and the video game journalist to the left of me was still fighting the same boss. And then I had to reroll, and I completely had to restart my character, and I beat the second boss, and I looked over, and the guy to the left of me was getting up and he was leaving. He had already exported all of his footage to his flash drive, and he had quit. He had quit because the game was too difficult, which in my eyes is not a good thing. I think that level of difficulty is just maybe a bit too much for you know, the average video game journalist level of gameplay. Other than that though, I really enjoyed the POE 2 beta that I was able to play in LA. I think that come this December 5th, I'm really going to look forward to speedrunning. As far as content is concerned, I apologize for not uploading anything to my YouTube in the past millennia. Personally, I've just been playing World of Warcraft and suffering in agony and misery. Don't do it. The game sucks. Blizzard sucks. D4 bad. Hopefully POE 2 is good. As far as what I'm planning on doing, I'm going to be speedrunning a lot. You can expect to see a lot of speedrunning stuff. I'll probably come up with some guides and stuff for POE 2. Expect a lot of stuff coming up soon. My plan at the moment is to race a lot of content creators, so there's going to be a lot of racing content. You can check me out on Twitch.tv/TacticKiller. Hey guys, TacticKiller from the future here. I realized that I didn't ask you to like, comment, and subscribe at the end of the video, so do that now, or else. I've got a Valdo box here. It's got this little fragile handle with care. I've not opened it. I'll open it on stream. On the live stream announcement, apparently it comes along with a design your own unique. I will be designing a leveling unique since I think it's pretty on par with, you know, my brand. I don't want to create a Wanda list if there's already a Wanda list, so I will likely try to experiment and see if there's a need for a very specific type of leveling unique. If you have any ideas, leave it in the comment section down below. That could be your free comment as your ticket for watching the video. As far as content's concerned, before December 5th, I'm going to be playing World of Warcraft Classic Hardcore in OnlyFangs. You can check me out over there. I'll probably just be leveling. Chances are I'll die. I kind of suck. Game's pretty easy, but I'm pretty stupid. All else fails, I might go play OSRS leagues, but most likely just playing hardcore. Yeah, that's it. Since I mentioned World of Warcraft for the second time in the video, you can feel free to leave. Yeah, thank you everyone. Bye.